This club's about winning trophies. I'm inexperienced in a lot of those things.
3-0.
Can you believe it?
Almost lost the cup and you win it. The new European champions, the treble, the dream come true for you.
Oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell. But they never give in. And that's the winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we are bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Ooh, sir, how you doing? How you doing? Pod never sleeps. It is international break, but we certainly don't sleep. Transfer rumors are coming. We got a big-time guest with Rick the Red on, and Pogba apparently on his way out. Sir, what's the latest? How you doing?
Sir, it's international break. The journos need the clicks. Ronaldo's apparently coming back. Pogba's unhappy. The one thing I will say, the Ole out talk has subsided, so that Everton win feels like ages ago. We woke up at 4:30 a.m. That really bought Ole some much-needed time as it relates to Ed Woodward and the board putting pressure on him. So overall, I'm glad we're talking about Ronaldo. You know, the classic Pogba goes to France BS. That's much better than the if we lost at Everton, everyone talking about Ole maybe getting fired. So I really like how it turned out. That's
true. You know, when the alternative is just be Ole out all those 2 weeks, and instead, not only do we have a Pogba on the way out story, which is standard practice. This is international break after all. You have a Ronaldo coming home, and then you package it together, maybe, and you got a Muppetry sandwich, sir. You got something perfect for international break. I'm sure we're going to get you covered all over it, aren't we, this pod, sir?
No, it's a perfect storm. You know, we'll start you from the beginning here before we get into the Rick the Red interview. Pogba essentially going on international duty to France. Didier Deschamps, everyone knows, famous French international and coach, World Cup winning coach, said, you know, how could Pogba be happy at United? Essentially throwing shade on Manchester United. Sir, my family came from France. I don't speak a lick of French, so I can't see it. But Deschamps throwing shots, you know, protecting Pogba. It seems whenever Pogba goes to play for France, he's either talking about wanting to play for Real Madrid, or everyone's saying how terrible his situation is at Manchester United. Again, we recently extended his contract through 2022. Seems like he's got one foot out the door. We recently covered it that Manchester United are willing to take a cut rate to get Pogba out the door. Ole not even playing him, sir. What do you make of this Pog drama?
I mean, we've gotten used to it at this point. We've gotten used to Pogba drama. That's kind of part and parcel with having Paul Pogba at Manchester United in the current state. He's already gone in my mind. You know, it's kind of why we brought in Donny van de Beek in the first place. I saw that as a long-term replacement for Pogba. You know, the more you put the transfer window together, the more it kind of makes sense, especially with how much he's been featuring. That is Paul Pogba. So I don't know. Didier Deschamps just like going out, throwing shade, throwing sand. Is there any reason that a head coach from the international team has to say that much about like one player and his club relation? You know, feels like a little too much from the head coach of the French team.
Well, I mean, Pogba did help them win a World Cup, help France win a World Cup. So I think they got to protect their boy. And I think at the moment when Pogba can't even get into the starting lineup of Manchester United, you know, I could see why Deschamps, you know, wants to kind of protect Paul P. Jamie Carragher, you didn't win a title, you know, the famous Jamie Carragher. He said on Talk Sport as well, like, when is it up to Paul Pogba? I mean, they played him in every single position you could think of. He's had multiple managers. He can't get up for it. It's not looking like it will work. So maybe it's time for Paul P to move on. It's kind of sad it just didn't work out. But again, who's really to blame? Is it Ole? Is it Jose? I mean, he's played in every single role. He's played 10, 6, 8, everything, and it's not working. You know, it's really a tough one. I can't wrap my head around it.
No, because he's got, you know, he's got the resume, he's got the CV. You think he'd have no problem showing up the league, strong physical player like Paul Pogba. But, you know, maybe it just doesn't work out. It just we've tried it. We've had flashes of brilliance. It has not been consistent at all. And at the end of the day, if his heart's not in it, this club, at least in the near term, is not going to be built on anything with players that aren't in it. You know, so if Ronaldo's coming home, he might be coming back for a big paycheck, but at the end of the day, he's got to be coming back for the right reasons, which is to win stuff. I'm not saying Paul doesn't want to win stuff, but you can just tell there's a disconnect. And it's like, if he can't get in this team and he's getting replaced by McTominay, Fred, and Bruno Fernandes, who's, breakout player, bro. He's the best player in our squad by a country mile. And a year ago, or even right when Bruno came on, it was still kind of neck and neck with Paul. Now it's like it's not even close.
Yeah, and the problem is it's unfortunate because I rate him. I think he's a good player. I think he has it in his locker. Maybe it's the weather. Could be the managers. Who knows? Maybe he's really sensitive about that. I really wanted it to work for Paul Pogba, but at the end of the day, it's kind of one of those where you say, hey, it didn't work out. Go your separate ways. Hopefully, it's really a shame we didn't get that big £120 million paycheck pre-COVID, right? I thought he would have gone to Madrid if it wasn't for COVID-19 for a big amount of money. And then obviously that would have helped broke-ass Manchester United. Sir.
Might have gotten a center back, sir. Might have gotten a right winger that was ready to start in 2020.
Look, quick PSA for the podcast. You can support us on Patreon. The American Red Devils is for fans, by fans, and that is why we have no private advertising on this podcast. Just me and Alex trying to bring the biased fan perspective and take everyone else's fan perspective as well. If you want to support us, you can support us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/AmericanRedDevils. We have 4 different tiers. You can sign up for anything from $1 a month to $20 a month, giving away scarves, pins, stickers, anything in between. It's a great way to support the podcast, help us with the hosting costs, everything. Shout out to our new Stretford End Patreon supporter, Jordan. Oh, I'm going to butcher this one. Gajurkian, sir. You want to give a shot at that last name?
Gajurkian, keep going. So that was pretty close.
Sir, if you have a tough last name, you sign up on Patreon, and we're going to guarantee pronounce it live on the podcast. If you don't want to support us on Patreon, you can buy some merch at our online store, www.americanreddevils.com. We got the Glazers Out scarves, the 2021 scarf. It's great. Check out our blog as well. Amazing fan-generated content there, sir. You're the editor-in-chief. It's going great. Tell them about the blog.
Blog is ripping. We've got great contributors from all around the United States and beyond, international writers as well. If you're interested in writing, we are always open to bringing in new blood. Just check us out or write us an email, americanreddevils@gmail.com. Let us know what you're interested in writing about, and we'll take it from there, sir. For fans, by fans, that's what it's all about. You can also get free stickers if you write a review on iTunes. It should be 5 stars, and even better if it has some cheeky banter. If you send an image of that to americanreddevils@gmail with your address, we'll hook you up with some free stickers, sir. What else we got?
And we got some new stickers in, our new Stanley Chow badge logo and podcast album cover. Shout out to Stanley Chow, one of the top podcast guests. But speaking of podcast guests, I'm going to say he's right up there. Rick the Red, you know him from his lineup calls. I mean, no one does it like Rick, sir. We have him with a great interview coming up.
And we're on with a very special guest today. We have Rick the Red back on the podcast. Good to have him after a year of not speaking. Rick, how you doing? How's everything in Manchester? What's the latest?
Everything's okay, Alex. Obviously, we're in lockdown here in Manchester at the minute. Well, in England, we've got a tiered system. I think it's different to the States. We were in tier 3 anyway, which was pretty close to lockdown a week or so back. But now the whole country's in lockdown. It's not a serious lockdown. When I say serious, of course it's serious, but I believe in some countries when they have lockdown, you couldn't go to work or anything. Our lockdowns are, if you can work from home, but if you have to go to work, go to work. So it's not like you're not allowed to do anything, but you are supposed to stay indoors as much as possible, which is what I'm doing.
A lot has changed since the last time we spoke, Rick. Last time we spoke was pre-COVID. I think it was pre-Bruno. Removed of all those things, what did you make of last season? When we spoke, we were down on the table. There were questions about Ole. Take me to where you are right now. How are you feeling?
Obviously, better. I think when we spoke, I don't think we looked much like having a chance of getting into the top 4, and to finish 3rd was a bonus. And then this season, it's not started off too well, but it hasn't, has it, at the end of the day, even though we've picked up a little bit just recently. 10 points from the first 7 games isn't a great start. I think it's pretty similar to last season. I'm not sure exactly what we had after 7 games last season. I heard him say on TV that we're a little bit better off, so it's probably 1 point better off than last season at this stage of the year. So yeah, not great at this precise moment in time, but yeah, but pretty pleased with the end of last season, yeah, and getting in the Champions League.
Well, Rick, I appreciate you acknowledging last season because I feel like a lot of the press, they only think about the last game and not what Ole did. Before we move on to this season, what was your favorite moment of the 1920 season?
My favourite moment of last season?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's a tough question. You've hit me with one there, and I can't really think. I suppose it was an important moment. We needed to win that last game at Leicester, or did we need to draw it? I think we needed to draw it. But I think when Anthony Marshall won that penalty at Leicester, and we thought, well, that's it, job done. I think maybe that might have been my favourite moment when we got that penalty that was going to finish it off. Really.
It went all the way to the very end.
Yeah.
Rick, I know you're a fan of Matic, Fred, McTominay. Who was your player of the season for last year?
Player of the season for the whole season? I've probably been asked this one before, and I might now come up with a different answer. Player of the season? Yes, I have been asked it before, because obviously on the other channel, the United channel that I'm on, I often lots of them say Bruno, and I wouldn't agree with that, because a player coming in February, it's not, or was it late January or early February? I don't think it's long enough in as massive an effect as he has. I don't think that gives you is enough to sort of say player of the season. I would probably go with Anthony Martial. I think he was pretty consistent throughout the season, and we saw how much we missed him when he missed 8 games. I think it was injured in different competitions, of course. He missed 8 games injured at the, pretty close to the start of that season. And without him, we didn't score more than 1 goal in any game while he was missing. And it didn't surprise me. His link-up play and his hold-up play is absolutely vital. Too many people say to me he doesn't score enough goals, he doesn't get enough assists. Look, I don't care who scores the goals, I don't care who assists the goals. When he plays, we score more goals. It's as simple as that, and we play better. So I think Anthony Marshall.
No, I think that's a good call. He elevated his game to another level last year, and I agree. His hold-up play has gotten much, much better. Do you think he seems to be a player that's playing happily at the moment and doesn't want to be leaving at Manchester United anytime soon? Do you think Ole has done a good job in kind of mentoring Martial and some of the other young strikers, Rashford, Greenwood, etc.?
Yeah, I think you've got to give Ole credit for that, really. I do think, I'm a massive fan of Anthony Martial, and I do read quite a lot, how much Ole's helped him with his game, and it might be the case, but because I like Marshall so much, I'd like to add that in his very first season, I think he was 19 when we signed him. He scored 17 goals in his first season. And I feel as though people are jumping on the bandwagon and saying how great he was and how much better he played. And also how much Ole helped him purely because he scored 23 goals last season. I think that's the main. I don't think people, I'm not saying everybody, but I think a lot of people who are saying that, they're not actually watching him play and saying, wow, he's playing a lot better. I think they're just noticing that he scored 23 goals and saying, wow, he's playing a lot better. Well, if he scored 17 goals as a 19-year-old, he probably became 20 in his first season while he was here. I think if he played all the time, because Jose didn't use him enough. He left him out too often. When he did play him, he used to sub him too often. I believe Marshall would be getting 23 goals, even if he didn't have a coach, if you understand what I mean. That's how highly I rate him.
No, I think he's a top player. And you're right. I mean, Martial, he's one of those players who came in, LVG, he was number 9. Then Jose came in, put him out in the wing. I don't know if they got along very well. Ole comes in as the manager, gives him the number 9, makes him the main man again. I think he's flourishing because he's the kind of player that needs his coach to believe in him, and I think Ole's doing that.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, that is a good shout without a doubt. There's a few people at the minute in England sort of saying Cavani's looking the part and he deserves to start. If Cavani's going to get a start at number 9, I'd be devastated if they left Marshall. I think Marshall's the main ingredient, mate. I'm quite well known over there for using one of my favourite phrases, which is you can only play 11. Some people say to me, how can you leave such a player out? And how can you leave such a player out? Well, you can only play 11. And if Cavani was to get a start at 9, I'd play Marshall on the left. And for me, I mean, I'm not saying this will happen, but for me, it would be Marcus who would have to miss out, because I believe Marshall's a much better player in whichever position you play him in.
No, there you go. While we're on it, you talked about Cavani. Let's talk about the summer transfer window. You know, for a lot of a lot of fans, it's disappointing. If you look at our spend, it's disappointing compared to some of our rivals. I don't want to get into that because that's just a complaining fest. What do you think about the players we made? Let's start with Cavani. Do you like that signing? You know, the leadership he brings in. Obviously, he's brought in for goals. Aging striker. You know, we're hoping he's more of a Zlatan than a Falcao. What's your take on the Uruguayan?
Well, like you say, he is an aging striker. It wouldn't have been my first choice. And to be honest, look, obviously he's a famous striker. The stats are knocking about. You see him on TV here. That I can't remember how long it goes back, 7 or 8 years, whatever. He scored more goals in the top European leagues than anyone except Ronaldo and Messi in the last however long it is, 8 years or so. So you can't knock his goal scoring rate. And obviously, I knew who he was, but I've never watched. I don't watch players so closely when they don't play for Man United, Alex. You understand what I mean?
I'm with you.
As famous as he was, I wasn't convinced, you know, exactly how he played. But having watched a few little bits of games that he's had now for United, I like the look of him in a big way. Now, I think he's 34, is he? I think they've given him a 2-year deal. I'm the last person who's going to be ageist. I get a lot of criticism over this. I mean, love of Matic and Mata, and they're not as old as Cavani, by the way. But a lot of people think we need younger players. I just think we need. I don't care how old you are or how young you are. If you're worth your place in the team, you're worth your place in the team, as far as I'm concerned. So Cavani, to me, whenever he's got a game so far, he looks a top player. I won't be against him getting a start at some stage.
No, thanks, Rick. Do you see that as like more of a leadership signing than maybe a technical talent signing? And, you know, we have a Gallo. He's leaving. He's certainly an upgrade of him. But I think, you know, everyone's talking, you brought it up, young players. Everyone wants more young players. But young players, you know, they don't always have experience. They don't always have the mentality. It seems like Ole is trying to bring in players with kind of that mentality. You know, ever since Zlatan left, we've kind of missed that big personality. Bruno brings some of it. I think Cavani is also more of that kind of like cutting edge winning mentality.
Yeah. I think there could be something of that in there. Cavani's definitely a player that people should look up to, because obviously particularly the young players. So there could be that little bit of leadership in the dressing room, and you know it rubs off on people as well. You know, it's an infectious game, football. If there's enough of you on a football field playing quick, short passes, taking a good touch, playing the game the right way, the way I think it should be played. I think it rubs off on some of the players who might not normally play like that, and I think Cavani's one of those type of players. He looks like he knows his way around the field and he knows what to do, and I like the look of him.
Speaking of players that know their way around the field, what do you make of our new boy, Donny van de Beek? Seems a real player.
He looks fantastic. I've just spoken about, you know, taking a good first touch, playing simple passes, making yourself available. Everything that I like in a player, I seen Donny van de Beek. I watched the Netherlands play Spain last night. He played exactly like that. He looks a great player. The problem is, like I've just said, you can only play 11. Fitting him in the team at the minute is proving difficult for Ole. A lot of people are saying maybe he should get a game on the right, he should get a game on the left. I feel sorry for the lad. He looks to me a natural number 10, but obviously displacing Bruno isn't really going to happen, I don't think, in the near future. I think Ole puts too much. He relies too much on Bruno, and I don't see why. It's not like you've got a number, because to me they're both natural number 10s, and it's not like we're talking about a lad here who's going to let the team down or a lad who's going to be nowhere near the standard. So I don't understand why I'm not saying every game, but I don't understand why pretty regularly you can't get 20 minutes or something in the number 10 role and give Bruno a rest, you know what I mean? And obviously in the odd game even give him a start at number 10, but always seems to not only want to play Bruno every week, but playing for 90 minutes every week. And that might not be a good thing for Bruno in the long run as well, do you know what I mean? So I think he should I'm not saying share it out 50-50, but share it out a little bit better.
No, I hear that. And, you know, there are a lot of games coming, but that's been one of the things John and I have been critical of Ole on is, you know, his man management and his rotation of the squad hasn't always been perfect. Certainly a long way to go from Sir Alex and how good he was at it. But where do you see Van de Beek like contributing this year? Do you think he's going to just be a rotation number 10, or he seems like he can play a 6, an 8? Probably not the best position for him, but he seems like he can play anywhere you put him.
I do think that he can play in other positions on the field. I'm just not sure that he's going to hold a place down in. I mean, at the minute, like we're playing with McTominay and Fred, and occasionally it's Matic and Fred. I don't see how he can squeeze in there. We're playing often with sometimes in a diamond, but usually with like 2 wider players. I'm not sure it's going to suit him. It's a good question, Alex. Are they going to fit him in more often in his favourite position? I think they will start giving him more game time, but I don't think giving him game time in a position that's not his favourite position, you won't see the best of him. And I just wish he would give him a bit more game time, really, in his best position. That's what I wish for.
Yeah, that's a good point, Rick. Because whenever he's in that box, you saw it against Spain. He looks lethal. He's very clinical, and he's a great finisher. Speaking of which, Paul Pogba, the man who we find ourselves probably talking about too much as Manchester United pundits. What do you see happening? You're on the ground in Manchester. Do you see him sign a new contract, or you think he's on the way out? There's now the Ronaldo rumors, which we'll get to in a second. But what do you see happening with Paul P? Do you think he's got eyes elsewhere?
Well, obviously Real Madrid gets spoken about all the time. I'm not really sure, Alex, but he doesn't. Look, he's not commanding a place at United at the moment, is he? A lot of people who are sort of massive fans of Paul Pogba would probably be alarmed that he's not actually commanding a starting place in the team, and the formation that we're playing. And let's be honest, really, we don't play so well when we play. I'm not saying it's Pogba's fault, but it's the formation that we play. Like against Arsenal, it wasn't great, was it? We were playing a diamond, but Pogba had to keep coming really wide left. So much so, obviously, to stop Bella in, that he more or less ends up playing on the left wing, really. And he's not a left winger. Do you know what I mean? He did whip one great crossing, by the way. I'll give you credit for that, but he's not a left winger. So I just don't know how he fits in the team. And if he doesn't fit in the team, plus he's always seems to have had eyes on Real Madrid. You've probably seen it. You've probably read it. We've seen it in the papers over here that United might be willing to accept 50-odd million or something. 53 million, I think I read. So if I'm honest, if I had to have a bet or a guess at it, I would say in the summer window he'll go to Real Madrid. I would have thought.
Yeah, I would have thought he might have gone this summer if it wasn't for COVID. Rick, you have to ask the question. It's like we've had 2 different managers with Pogba, so many different formations, players in and out, trying to get the best out of him, bringing Pogba in. Is it just one of those things that sometimes it just doesn't work out, right? Like the player, personality, club, it all just doesn't align. And sometimes you need that. With Pogba, it may be one of those cases where, better luck next time.
Yeah, perhaps. I can't put my finger on it, Alex, to be honest. I mean, obviously, he was injured for quite a bit last season. He played 2 or 3 games early in the season, and then he was out until post-lockdown when we played Spurs away straight after lockdown. I wasn't surprised he was on the bench for his first game back, but straight after that, they put him in the team when they won 4 games on the bounce, and he played alongside Bruno and Matic in a 3-man midfield, and we had 3 forwards. And lots of people I spoke to were absolutely. I mean, I loved it, but I knew it wouldn't last. There's too many attacking players in that team. 3 forwards. There was Greenwood, Rashford, Marshall, and then there was Bruno and Pogba, and it did soon fall apart. And he started this season with the exact same team, and it just doesn't work. And so it just doesn't work. So there's no. I don't think there isn't room, in my opinion, for Bruno and Pogba in the same team.
What? Just as a side note, what's your favorite formation with this squad? Do you like the 4-2-3-1 with McTominay and Fred holding behind Bruno?
Yeah, I I do like the 4-2-3-1, but I often say, people will have heard me say it before. People call me old-fashioned, but I love 4-4-2. And when we play 4-2-3-1, I have a saying that really it morphs into 4-4-2. You've got your 2 holding players, and then your 3 is usually like Bruno as the central one, i.e. and obviously he goes forward a lot. He sort of plays like a number 10. But your 2 wide players then generally need to be players. look, I prefer naturally wide players, but when Juan Mata plays, for example, he's not a natural wide player, but he's such an intelligent player. He does the job quite well, like he did at Goodison at the weekend. You know what I mean? So on the left at weekend, we had Rashford, didn't we? So, in my opinion, when we play 4-2-3-1, it's so similar to 4-4-2. It's it's just really similar to 4-4-2. Generally, of your your middle three, if you like, two of them are wide players who have to track the fullbacks. You can't not track the fullbacks and just have two holding midfield players. So 4-2-3-1 to me is really similar to 4-4-2.
And you see that, right? You see that as when they lose the ball, they seem to drop into a 4-4-2 pretty quickly.
Correct.
In the switching topics again, just to keep you on your toes, Rick. We talked about Ronnie. Yeah. Let's talk about Ronaldo. He's used us a lot before to get big contracts, to get renewals. He would probably only join a club where he's guaranteed silverware, right? He wants to pad the old CV, add another title, add another Champions League. United, unfortunately, I want us to be, but we're not in that position where we're like a player away from maybe competing. Do you see Ronaldo coming back? I don't know. I just don't see it.
I can't see it, really. I can't see it. I think it's a pipe dream, to be honest. Once something... I mean, obviously, he's been linked with coming back to us numerous times, aren't he? I just can't see it, Alex. Is he 36 next, I think I read?
I think he's 35 going on 36. He's a young 35, whatever he is, Rick.
Yeah. Obviously, he's as fit as a fiddle. You don't know how long he's going to go on. He might go on till 40. It's unusual for strikers to go on to that age. You occasionally, to that sort of age, you occasionally see a defender going on to his late 30s. But I think if we were to sign him, I think by the time it happens, I think he'd be 36. I don't see that happening, Alex. I really don't.
Yeah, for the level of wages that he would demand.
Yeah,
it's unlikely. Getting back to the topic at hand, let's talk about the players we got and the coach we got. We talked 12 months ago about Ole. A lot has happened since then. What's your take? Is he is he buying more time from you? Are you getting more convinced, or are you still have a lot of questions around our manager?
Yeah, there's still a lot of questions, really. The way it chops and changes the side too much. We've played with a diamond, like you say. We played 4-2-3-1. I think he definitely would say himself that he's played 4-4-2 a couple of times. I say 4-2-3-1 morphs into 4-4-2. But if you look at Newcastle away and Chelsea at home, we had Mata on one flank and Dan James on the other flank, along with McTominay and Fred. Bruno at 10. That was, for me, that was an out-and-out 4-4-2 for 2 games. So he's chopping and changing the formation. He's chopping and changing the players. I'd love him to settle on. Look, I know you've got to get game time for players. I mean, Van der Beek, we just spoke about, he's not getting enough game time, and it'd be terrible if there was more players getting even less game time. But you need to start winning football games. You need to start getting some consistency, and I believe you can get consistency on the field from having consistency in your team selections. I don't mind the odd one. I mean, you can give players games as subs. You can give players games by changing a different player each week. You don't have to, if you're going to only change one, it doesn't have to be the same player that gets changed each week. So I believe you should try and get, a 10 or an 11 that are playing virtually every week. Certainly for a good few games. I don't know, maybe 10 games or something, and really get some fluidity and some consistency on the field. That's what I think you should do, and he hasn't done it, and I'm not sure. I mean, could you guess what team he's going to play against West Brom? I won't be surprised if you got 3 players wrong. You know what I mean?
At least 3 players wrong. No, it's a good point. While we're on Ole, Rick, what do you make of these? I mean, they've died down now because we won against Everton, but what do you make of these Poch rumors and all this smoke about him being replaced this early into the season, after finishing in 3rd place, after finishing Champions League, and really not having a huge summer transfer window to back him up? What's your take on that?
Well, it was the Manchester Evening News that broke the story about. Well, I mean, I know they're constantly being linked with Poch, but last Thursday, a week ago today, I think it was, the Manchester Evening News broke a story saying that United had actually been in touch with Pochettino and were discussing things with him. I don't know where they get the stories from. I don't know you never know if it's true. You would think with it being the Manchester Evening News that they've got good links to the club, but I'm not sure United would contact Pochettino and sort of say, how do you fancy the job if Ollie doesn't do well for the... I mean, what difference does it really make if he does well for 2 or 3 games in a row? If you've decided he needs replacing, does 2 or 3 games make much difference? You know what I mean? So if it was true that they spoke to Pochettino on that Thursday, I would have assumed that during this international break they would have sacked Ole and give Pochettino the job, no matter what happened at Goodison. And the fact that we won at Goodison, to me, and saying that saved his job, I don't know. It seems a bit far-fetched to me. Well, what? I can't imagine him saying if he wins on Saturday, we're going to keep him, but if he loses, we're not. Do you know what I mean? It's not. He just doesn't add up. So I don't get it. I think at the end of the day, I think the Evening News have been fed something that isn't true. That's what I think.
Yeah, and they like to use our name, Manchester United's name, to sell papers. Whether or not it's true or not, let's talk about. Would you be supportive of that direction? If they were to get rid of Ole, does it make sense to bring in a Pochettino versus, say, an Ancelotti? Is that the right direction if you were running this club?
I wouldn't be against Pochettino getting the job. No, the job that a lot of people say to me, he never won anything. It's difficult winning anything when you've got City and Liverpool winning everything. City even go full strength in the League Cup and win the League Cup every year virtually, don't they? So, it's an almost impossible task trying to win something if you're not with one of the big 3 or 4, the really big clubs. So I think what Pochettino did at Spurs, getting him in the Champions League 4 years running when they'd only ever been in it once before, was a fantastic job. Got to a Champions League final. I know they had a bit of luck with the draw, and I know they had some VAR luck. It was pretty new at the time, VAR. But he still got on there. They got to the Champions League final. They finished second in the league, didn't they? It was Leicester that won it last year. That was up there that year. It was unbelievable. But I think he did a good enough job at Spurs. I would say, I wouldn't mind him having a crack at United.
Well, we'll be on it. You'll be on it, I'm sure, too. If Ole gets the sack, it's likely going to be Poch, just because I know, and there's no one else that's been attached to us to the same degree as Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah.
All right, wrapping things up. Who do you think's going to be the top goal scorer at United for this season, Rick, in the league?
In the league?
Yes, sir.
I think, it's a dead interesting question now. It's a case of whether Cavani starts playing regularly or not. If Cavani was to play regularly at 9, I'd definitely go Cavani. In fact, he's already got 1 league goal and he's hardly kicked a ball in the league, has he? How many's Rashford got in the league now? Is it 3? Yeah. Do you know what? Anthony Marshall's my favourite player. I would normally say Anthony Marshall. I'm going to hang my hat on Cavani starting to get more starts. I'm going to say Cavani.
I like it. I hope there's a lot of players over 20 goals. Who do you think is going to win the league this season, Rick?
I can't see beyond City or Liverpool. It's a fantastic situation at the minute at the top of the table with about 6 teams separated by 3 points. 2 or 3 of those teams will fall away dramatically though soon, I think. Spurs might stay up there for a while, but I do think it'll be between City and Liverpool at the end, and I hate to say it, but if I've got to have a bet on it, I say Liverpool.
Damn. And who do you think is going to be I hate it. I get it, Rick. Who do you think is going to be relegated this season?
Oh, that's too hard. Who's just come up? Probably West Brom. Who else has just come up?
Fulham and Leeds.
Yeah. Fulham will go down. I think West Brom will go down. I'll leave it at that. Fulham, West Brom, and one other.
Perfect time for Fulham's new stadium. Last 2 questions. Who's your Golden Boot winner for the Premier League this season?
Golden Boot winner. That's just the Premier League, is it? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Just in the Premier League. I'd probably go Harry Kane, I think.
There you go. And last question, Rick. Champions League winner for the 2021 season.
Ooh. Well, we're still in that, aren't we? Can I say
we
Manchester
are.
United?
Of course you can.
Manchester United.
There you go, Rick. I like it. The odds makers were plus 2,400 on the futures for United to win the Champions League.
Right.
I liked it a lot more before we lost to Istanbul.
Yeah.
Rick, thank you so much for coming on the pod. Just a quick shout out, let people know where they can find you on Twitter, on YouTube, so they can check out all your content.
Absolutely. I'm Rick the Red UK on Twitter. And then on YouTube, I've got a YouTube channel which is called the Football Philosophy Channel.
Brilliant. Rick, thank you so much for coming on the pod again. It's always great to talk to you. We look forward to catching up again, maybe sometime early next year.
Let's do it again the next international break. Is it February or March, perhaps? Let's do that.
Sounds good, Rick.
Let's see where we're at then, Alex?
I hope we're in a fight for the league title. One can only hope.
Still in the Champions League would do me. Let's see.
I'll take it. Mate. Take care, Rick. Talk to you soon.
Enjoyed it. Thanks a lot, Alex. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Sir, great talking with Rick the Red. You only can get that real perspective on the ground, Mank, from someone who's, on the ground. So great talking to Rick. Great catching up about the season and beyond, and looking forward to catching up with him next time, sir.
Sir, don't say a bad word about Modic to Rick the Red. That's the rule. He's seen it all, been a United fan for decades, and really appreciate his perspective. But, sir, we got some news. You might get the news. CR7 trolling us here. The news. I'm just like, I wake up this morning, Cristiano Ronaldo coming back to Manchester United. I'm like, what are you sir? It's almost like a little history on the American Red Devils.
You fall for it every year. Just build it up.
No, but I'm just saying, a little history about the American Red Devils. Alex and John, we were fans of this team, 16 years ago, sir? Pretty much like high school. You had the Rooney 8 jersey. I had the Ronaldo 7 jersey. Living in New Jersey. Wearing Sorry. I'm telling you, I was always I was Team Ronaldo. You were Team Rooney. We debated about who was better. Always, we debated about that. We were very biased. There's, Rooney all-time leading scorer. Ronaldo,
all-time
in the league
great.
on its own. So, it's one of those things where Ronaldo always has a special place in my heart as a United fan. I don't think it's been the same since he left. I really think that was sort of the end of the era. Clearly, we went on to win titles. You had the Rooney bicycle kick against City, Van Persie coming in, that got close to it. But I wish that Sir Alex had maybe 2 or 3 more years with RVP, because I think we could have done damage. But the Ronaldo era to me will always be the best, and I think a lot of fans fantasize that he would come back. I always thought he would come back. I really did. When he left, I thought he probably left 2 years too early for Madrid. I thought he'd go to Madrid and he'd come back to United, try to win another title. And he's gone the other way. Every time he's about to leave Madrid, he's coming to United. They troll us. He gets a better deal. He even got a better contract while at Madrid. He used us like a complete, sir, he used us every time. And so it actually makes me resent Ronaldo. So being a huge Ronaldo fan to, all right, come on, you can't tear at United fans' heartstrings. We backed you so much. We're huge fans of yours, and then you're just going to use us as leverage for money. It's like cheap bait. And I think this is another one of those moves. Mendes is ultimately trying to get him to move to PSG for big money, right? That's the sellout move. PSG, big money, win the Champions League, Neymar, Mbappe, Ronaldo, then go to LA Galaxy. He ain't coming back. It makes no sense. United aren't competing. It's just not happening, sir. It's not happening. This is a move for money. I bet Mendes did meet United like Fox Sports says, but I think this is completely this is Ronaldo doing it again. This got to be the 7th time.
So here we are. I meant to say, I was like, you're the Ronaldo guy. I'm the Rooney guy. If there was always a rumor about us bringing back, the white Pele, that'd be one thing, but it's always Ronaldo just pulling United back through the presses just so they can get a nice big contract right in front of his face so he can write. You're right. I love talking about it. It'd be great, to think that we're close enough that we are competing and Ronaldo would join us. That's the thing. We're not that close where Ronaldo's like, yeah, I'll join United. We're going to win the league and maybe a Champions League. So that's how you know this room has got probably nothing in it. But he would be a great player, and I think he's still got gas in the tank. He could play in the Premier League for definitely 2 to 3 more years. He seems to have no problem with injuries because he's just a fitness freak, and he certainly has the right mentality. He knows what this club's all about. He knows what Fergie was all about, and just has the edge, bro. I think him with Bruno would be some kind of combo. Unbelievable.
I think, and this is going in complete, conspiracy theory realm. Not conspiracy theory, but, conjecture, if you will. Ronaldo, when he came to United, he was a boy. United turned him into a man. And it's almost like he's kind of embarrassed to go back to high school. It's just what Manchester United represents. You look at the photos, his teeth, his hair, and then he leaves United just like Yoke City, like best player in the world that has been that. And I think he kind of doesn't want to go back to Manchester because it kind of represents like going back to high school maybe for him. It could be Sir Alex. I don't know. The task could be too tall. Now that I've told you why he probably doesn't want to go, I'll give you why he probably does want to go, sir. There's it's probably 80-20. The 20% says, look, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and him, they had a good relationship. Ole was playing as striker at United, knew Ronaldo, same dressing room. As far as the logistics of a deal, Pogba's deal ends in 2022. Ronaldo's deal ends in 2022. Pogba's always been linked to Juventus. Pirlo's the coach of Juventus. Pirlo played with Pogba. Pirlo loves Pogba. It could make sense doing the swap deal. Manchester United could take the wages of Ronaldo easy, right? Because United doesn't have the cash to splash up front, so they could do a wage deal easy. The only thing that doesn't make sense to me is United aren't in that going to win the Champions League pole position like probably a team like PSG. And if you really want to get in the mind of Ronaldo, sir, he's a narcissist. He's thinking about how he can win the trophies. He's thinking about his legacy. And he's not coming back to United because all the fans love him. He's probably going to go to PSG to just make that money, raise that trophy, break the record in the Champions League, show Messi how it's done, and then go to play it in LA. Yeah,
I mean, I think as much as I would like for it to happen, we could talk about the reasons for an hour, but I think that ship has sailed now that Fergie is gone. Because it's like any reason that he would come back to this club, I think, is associated with his love and devotion to Sir Alex Ferguson. Because their relationship, turned him from a boy to a man. Big part of that was, Fergie putting his arm around him when he needed that. So I don't think he would come back to United without having Fergie be the manager. If he'd stayed a couple extra years, it might have been possible. Because that's the big outstanding. Is it makes sense with Pogba, it makes sense with a lot of other things. But does Ronaldo want to come here if it's not guaranteed silverware? I don't see it.
Yeah, I just don't think. Nothing he has done since he left Manchester United suggests that Manchester United's in his heart and it's calling to him and he needs to come back, right? From him coming in smoking us at home in the Champions League to him trolling us with the contracts every 3 years. Nothing about it looks to me like he's dying to get back to that Manchester United weather, sir. I mean, Manchester weather,
Yeah, hey, it's not for everybody. And, it's... So I know it's a tough one for you to swallow, but this is one of those 2-3 years ago, and it was probably the last time we had a chance was Juventus, and if it wasn't then, it's not now. It's they're bringing 34-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo in. I doubt it.
He's going to move. If you think about it, end of this year, his contract through 2022, it makes sense he's going to move. He's kind of doing Messi's doing he's doing it the different way. He's staying at Barcelona, right? He might have left this summer, but Ronaldo's kind of doing the LeBron James. He's hopping around trying to win more trophies. Doesn't really care what team he plays for, and I don't think he's really going to go back.
I mean, with the whole if Messi's coming to City, right? Isn't Messi coming to City next year? There could be a fun Manchester derby if you had Ronaldo and Messi in Northern England, just freezing their asses off and tearing it up.
So, look, Fabrizio Romano came out. He's the truth. Juventus have never gotten any indications from Ronaldo that he wants to leave ever since he joined. Juventus are certain Ronaldo will honor his contract. Again, but the rumor was Manchester United met with Mendes and were interested in bringing him back. Per Fox Sports, sir, take it with a grain of salt. Either way, it's international break. Everyone having a bit of fun. Ronaldo highlights.
Beats Ole out. It beats Ole out rumors, sir. I'll take it. That's great news.
So let's just do a bit of conjecture. Ronaldo comes back to United. Where does he play?
I was just thinking that.
You got Bruno as well. That's another connect I didn't mention. The Ole connect, Bruno connect. Where's Ronaldo play?
I have no idea. We have left wingers. I mean, he could play all over the pitch, so we need a right winger. We need a right winger like for 10 years. Can you play there? You can play anywhere. Why not?
No, you could play 9. You could play left wing, play right wing. So you're right. He probably plays on the right, right? Ronaldo. Is Ronaldo better at Martial than that number 9, though?
That's the thing. The thing is, like, remember how he used to play on the right and cut in and curl those left-footed, footed just rippers? So remember that? Like, he could play on the right, man. He could play anywhere because he used to play United right, left, false 9. It's like he'd play wherever Fergie needed him to play to get a goal, and you'd get those goals, sir. Ain't coming back, bro. I see it in your face. It's like, leave it alone. He ain't coming back. Dude, we did this a year ago. We did this 2 years ago. We did this 3 years ago. I wish he was coming back because we would win shit. We could win the league. He came back with Pogba just because of the mentality, what he offers. He's a killer. He has that almost too much. It would probably be too much with Bruno. It would be combust, but he has it in abundance, and this United team needs it because we're a little brittle. And we need some of that, just like iron. Dude, he's like a madman. I mean, he is a madman at this point. He's like doing leg lifts on his yacht, when he's on break. He just good for him.
Sir, what's the bet if Ronaldo comes back to Manchester United? What do I have to do?
I 0-7, bro. He's going to take Cavani's 7. It has to have next. I mean, he's the 7, right? They're going to bump Cavani.
We're 82, bro.
Double 0.
No, if I saw Ronaldo in the tunnel coming out of Old Trafford again, sir, that would be a day. That'd be a great day. I'll tell you. Smiling ear to ear. I'll get that Chevrolet kit.
I know you would. Keep dreaming, sir. I hope it happens, but I just don't see it.
All right, next bit of news from the Daily Star, sir. I call it a rag out there in the UK. Jack Grealish, signs we might sign Jack Grealish next summer. What do you think, Jack Grealish? I rate him a lot. He's in it. He's in the England squad right now. I think this is more reasonable than the Ronaldo deal, right? Ronaldo long putt. This seems like right in our wheelhouse.
Right. It makes sense with the signings we've made already, other than Cavani, which does make sense from a leadership standpoint. But Grealish has only looked even better than this window after we've been attached to him so much. That didn't seem like there was anything in it unless Pogba was leaving. Now, Pogba does leave. Grealish, he's tearing it up with Villa at the moment. Looks a real United player, United fan. I would love to see Jack Grealish on the side. I think he definitely has that cutting edge that we need more of.
You're a fan of the Jack Grealish Cavs,
dude,
right?
Strong like iron, bro. When you say iron sharpens iron, I don't even remember what it is now.
Jack Grealish, versatile player. English player, plays for England. I like that. There's 2 players also playing for England right now, Sancho, Bellingham, that would be nice to have as well. United of old wouldn't have let those guys slip through the cracks. If you had a Grealish, Bellingham, Sancho, Rashford,
Holland, they wouldn't have let Holland go. I'll tell you that. Fergie would have been like, get him signed.
Look, it's interesting. That's a Muppetry for you. And then a note, the Premier League chief, Richard Masters, he's upset by the big 6 clubs failing to back calls from their vote on 5 substitutes. And what's interesting on the 5 subs, sir, we're dying for him. Luke Shaw, he's out 6 weeks. We got that news as well. I tweeted that out. Some people were surprised that, a lot of people wishing Shaw get well, and you had a lot of people saying he sucks. And I was like, well, I think he got that assist against Everton. I think he played very well against Everton. He probably might not look as sexy as Telles, but he does a job, sir. He does a job. And
if anything, everything bringing Telles in has brought out, another level in Shaw. He's looked great in the games we've looked great, to be fair. When the team plays well, most players seem to play well, but I guess Everton, he was terrific, right? That he needs to put more balls in like the one he found Bruno with, because that was a great assist.
No, exactly. And, I think you're right. Telles is, upping Shaw's game. Telles can obviously come in. We also have B-Dubs who can play. So I think we have cover. But if you remember last season, when we dipped off post-COVID restart, it was when Luke Shaw went down. It wasn't overlapping with Rashford on the left-hand side. So it's one of those things where, like, I think he can kind of he's a little underrated right now, and him going down is directly related to this 5 subs. We need more bodies. I don't understand. We're playing Champions League every other week. Sort of the pod never sleeps. We need some subs here on the podcast.
Who wants to do a pod? Sir, I hear you. It's right. It's like everybody should have an incentive to get 5 subs done. Whether you're a big club or a small club, you all got to play these games. The one good thing about the Shaw injury is that we do have Tellus, because a year ago we didn't have him. We have a player that should be able to come in, but you wanted to have both. The injuries are piling up, man. It's not just United; it's clubs all around the league. So if they're going to demand this week in, week out, I mean, you said it right. We're playing every 3-4 days, starting with West Brom, basically until New Year's. And the players are actually playing those games. We're doing a pod, watching the game, emotionally draining. But these guys are playing it. It's like the fact that they pulled back the 5 substitutes. I don't see the reasoning behind doing that.
I like how you correlate us watching the game, getting exhausted to the
tires me out, especially some of these like shit games, sir.
Fan questions, jump into Twitter. Thank you for all the hot banter here, sir. We got some CR7. Boson at Boson on Twitter, quote, on a scale from Bebe to Beckham, how badly do we want Cristiano back home? Before you answer, I would like to hedge. I agree. It's exceedingly unlikely. Cheers, guys. So Bebe to Beckham, what do you got? Is he a Bebe or Beckham? Do you want Ronaldo back?
I mean, I want him back. I don't think he's coming back. I think there's like a 0% chance, but I want him back just because he's a Beckham. I mean, I know how good he is. We know how good. He's one of the greats. So, yeah, even at 34, he would contribute a lot. So, if he was coming, he'd want to play. And right now, you can tell Pogba doesn't want to play. So, that for me is an upgrade.
Sir, we're dying. This is like Beckham, Charlton, Best. We're dying for Ronaldo. We're dying for that mentality. We need that. It's like he's just like Ronaldo is like nuts, like grade A, like he's absolutely nuts, like and he'd be yelling at everyone, making everyone train more, like doing it all. And we need that type of mentality. Like Zlatan kind of had that a little bit. He's probably not as crazy as Ronaldo is, but having that versus like what Pogba brings to the locker room, what Ronaldo would bring to the locker room. I'm sure Ronaldo, the intensity is like, it's like the Manchester United of old, sir.
Bro, he could play 0 games and he would be a contribution. He could, it's like that personality is like he's unique in his mentality, in his mindset, and the way he goes about practicing for games, preparing for games, and keeping himself just like physically fit and like prepared to compete at the highest level at all times. Like he does not futz around, first to show up, last to leave kind of guy, bro. It's like he, naturally gifted, like, woke up, born one day with like all the talent in the world, but at the end of the day, he's like still one of the hardest workers in the game. Still has it. Mentality. It would be a huge contribution to this team because we need it because we're young and inconsistent, and he would push this team to a higher level. But it's not happening, sir. We're talking about Ronaldo until I'm blue in the face.
Yeah. He's upgraded Jesse Lingard for sure. At Man United DYL, quote, why doesn't Donny van de Beek start more? He's a beast and scored today against Spain. He can 100% play against Bruno in a midfield too, sir. What do you think?
He's going to feature more and more. He might have been the replacement for Paul Pogba. They got a good deal from Ajax. We got hooked up by our boy Van der Sar, so maybe that's the move and why they did it early. But he's definitely a player that shows a ton of promise.
Do you think he can play in a 2?
Totally, because he's got the work rate. Whereas, like, Paul's shown it he can sometimes, but Donnie has the consistent work rate where I'm not worried about him, putting in a tackle, running back.
I think Ole sees him as a straight 10, and I think, that's why we haven't seen him. And also he doesn't like, he is really good. Like, I think Donny van de Beek, you got to find a way to get him in the team. And I think you play that 2 with Bruno and Van de Beek and you put Modic in the hole behind him. Kind of like you do a 2 pivot. Just kind of when you're playing against lower opposition, I think you got to be more aggressive in the midfield. I think that's kind of where Donny should be featuring, and then swapping out with Bruno in rotation. I think there needs to be more rotation as well at number 10. And I think Van de Beek swaps out like for like with Bruno. I thought he'd be playing more. I think he deserves to play more. And, scoring in Spain, he looked lights out. So hopefully we see more of Donny van de Beek.
I think we will, because there's a lot of games to come, and there will be injuries. Unfortunately, there will be injuries and people get hurt, and hopefully he doesn't. But we're going to have to rotate, and Donny will get minutes.
At Jordan_R, top contributor, American Red Devils blog as well on Twitter. Quote, way too many games being played. Give the teams 5 subs and a mandatory break. There's too many non-contact injuries happening. I mean, spot on, right? We're seeing it at United. We've seen it. I mean, Liverpool's defense is in shambles. Not going to complain. But, we need the 5 subs.
We do, because it's silly. This is not the conditions of the more modern game. They weren't played every 3 days, which is where the 3 subs come from. You're playing it this aggressively. It makes sense to do it. You should just stick with it. And I see them. They have to make this change sooner rather than later, because it's like everyone's hurting. And they're going to keep hurting because there's a shit ton of games coming.
At Michael72 on Twitter, quote, if you guys could have one young, exciting U.S. men's national team player on Manchester United, who would you guys pick? Personally, I would pick Josh Sargent, only because he is also from the St. Louis area. Sir, I'm going to throw this to you because I know you don't care about the U.S. men's national team at all, even though he did go to the World Cup in Brazil, and you really cared then. But for some reason, I try to get you to watch the U.S. men's national team, and you only care if it's the World Cup.
Brazil was fun. I would take Pooley because he's the most easily recognizable, and he's a solid player. I hate that he's a Chelsea blue. I mean, that makes him always kind of a puss now, in perpetuity. But people made that switch before and turned hard as ice. Look at Matic, Mata, both been great players for us. I think Pooley still could become a great player, playing for the right side, the right color band at least. No more blue action. So that's the player I'd want. He's got a lot of competition on the left wing, but he has the talent to play for United.
Look, I'm going to take Gio Reyna, who's playing at Dortmund. He's assisting Haaland right now. He's a top prospect. He's 6'1", 17 years old, sir. He's actually born in the United Kingdom, but he plays for the U.S. men's national team. Pulisic, I like Pooley a lot. My critiques on him: couldn't score against Trinidad and Tobago. We got bounced. Didn't qualify for the World Cup. He's the main man. Didn't do the job. I mean, that was atrocious. He was like basically the leader on the team. Then he joins Chelsea.
I know.
Hate Chelsea.
I'm changing that. Weston McKenzie. I don't remember what team he's playing for right now.
Weston
McKenzie plays for Juventus, right? Didn't he just join Juventus?
McKinney.
Kenny, oh, excuse me. So yeah, I stick with Pooley. Sir, I'm not a U.S. Nationals, brother. This is a Manchester United podcast. We're
gonna do the U.S. men's national team takeover pods with our boy Mike. Played in the U.S. soccer system, sir. He's a great player. Gio Reyna, attacking midfielder, plays on the left, plays on the right. That's the player I would take at United, and he's available. He's under 18, playing for Dortmund. We should sign him right now.
How much is the fee? $50 million? We can't get a deal done, sir.
Ed Woodward. Marketing, the cross-marketing capability with America is huge. Again, great question. I like the crossover with the U.S. men's national team. We're going to be seeing a lot more of that coming up with World Cup qualifying. Cannot wait, sir. We'll get you into it. We'll get you in the U.S. men's national team as well.
Sir, as long as I get a zebra kit, I can get behind. And then we're in business.
Get this guy
playing Wales tomorrow. They're playing Dan James tomorrow. I did bet USA plus 350. The line has since tightened, but up against Dan James, the speedster.
I'll take Dan James to score. All right, that's been the podcast. Quick international break. We got the Rick the Red interview, Ronaldo rumors, some transfer muppetry. Our next podcast will be next week, dropping that West Brom preview and a little bit of United history. We covered Newton Heath last international break. We're going to be covering the founding of Manchester United, the club moving to Old Trafford, first title, etc. It will be exciting, sir. Love the history podcast. Love diving into it. We're not quite historians, but we love reading about this club's rich history.
Drape ourselves in it. You pick up the scarf at americanreddevils.com, the 2021 scarf. We've won it all. Greatest in English football. You have to remind yourself sometimes, sir, because it has been some dark days, but the history is rich, and we're going to go back all the way back. What, 1904, sir? Way back when. 1906, I believe we won our first title. But we will get into all of it next week, sir. Should we hit some top downloads?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to take you top to bottom on this list, sir. Number 1, how you doing? Gitmo, South Korea. Number 2, Oslo, Norway. Appreciate you. Union, Missouri. Alexandria, Virginia. Dublin, Ireland. New York. Hotlanta, Georgia. Brooklyn, New York. Chicago, Illinois. And Los Angeles, California. Thank you for all the downloads. Appreciate all the listeners around the world listening week in, week out, sir. How you doing?
No, I appreciate everyone listening to the podcast. For fans, by fans. Appreciate the banter. Check out our blog, www.americanreddevils.com. We got some great content. That's what this podcast is all about, sir. Cheering on Manchester United, sir. Big things coming this season. CR7's coming back. He's coming home. He's coming home, sir. I'm absolutely buzzing, mate.
You're saying there's a chance.
Absolutely, as always.
Kicking a blue.
Kicking